You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. So, folks, you heard me reference Senator Tim Scott on Face the Nation. He was on May 2nd, and this is what Senator Tim Scott, the only black Republican U.S. Senator from South Carolina, had to say about that money in the bill for black farmers. Listen to this nonsense.
When you say one side is talking about taking from one side to the other, I mean, this is, people pay taxes, and there's an argument that the taxes that are paid should go to communities that we've seen, especially under COVID-19, have been disproportionately affected, and that's laid bare a lot of the inequities. So you're not saying that making sure that there's money that goes to those black communities is a bad thing.
Well, John, let me say it differently. When you pass a COVID package with $2 trillion of spending, and in your package you hide in there, if you are a black farmer, we will give you resources, but if you are a white farmer, you're excluded from those same resources. That's taking from one to give to the other. It's one of the reasons why in the 1990s, the USDA had to pay out the Pickford settlements to black farmers for taking from them to give the white farmers. So we're going to reverse that and call that a way of creating fairness in our country? That doesn't really work.
Let's go to my panel. Bernarda of Villalona, senior trial counsel at Joey Jackson Law Firm. Michael Imhotep, host of the African History Network. Brittany Lee Lewis, political analyst. Brittany, I want to start with you. It really pisses me off when I play that soundbite of Senator Tim Scott. You heard Secretary Vilsack lay out the billions that went to white farmers in the last 4 years, but actually the last 50 to 100 years, and how black farmers got screwed. And all of a sudden, money gets put in a bill to rectify the problem, and he's like, well, it's not fair. I'll take your money away from white farmers. And it's like, damn. So the white farmers got $50 billion. Now disadvantaged farmers got to share $5 billion. And the white folks, well, can we get a piece of that too? And to have Senator Tim Scott sitting there saying that BS, I mean, that's just pathetic.
I mean, Roland, I feel like it's very on brand for our buddy Senator Scott, very on brand for him. And like you said, the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture laid it out, plain as day regarding the historical inequalities that black farmers have faced. And, with Senator Scott, I'm like, is this man really that dense? Or is it just truly, to live up to his image and his role, in the GOP? Because it literally doesn't make sense. He cannot be that dense.
The thing here that just really just chaps my hide, Bernarda, is that these black farmers, I'm talking about the numbers. We used to have 1 million black farmers, is down to 40,000 in this country. Mm-hmm. The land we own has gone down dramatically. They have documented, confirmed racism for decades in USDA. And here's what people watching have to understand. USDA has the second largest budget behind the Pentagon. Folks, number 2. And Bernardo, the thing is, that people also don't realize, the USDA has the largest federal bank out of any department. A significant number of things in America have been built in rural America that was funded by the USDA bank. So white farmers have used the Department of Agriculture, taxpayer money, as their personal piggy bank. And you got these white farmers at Senator Tim Scott whining and complaining because finally we're trying to rectify the problem.
Oh, and I think Senator Tim Scott, in his mind, he thinks that he's actually sane and normal. Obviously, he's been drinking his own Kool-Aid for too long that he doesn't realize what he is saying, how it actually affects people, because he's doing a bit too much in order to satisfy his GOP, in order to move forward, to continue getting the votes and being the person that he is. For me, I'm just embarrassed. I am insulted by his comments, and, it's just ignorant.
Michael Imhotep, your thoughts?
Yes. Well, brother, I've been talking about this, man, for a few months now. And, on my show, I shared the May 2nd interview that Tim Scott did on Face the Nation. This ties, I cannot stress this enough, Roland, this ties directly into the GOP rebuttal speech that Tim Scott gave Wednesday, April 28th. Because in that speech, right after he said America is not a racist country, the next thing he said was, it's backwards to fight discrimination with different types of discrimination. And the $5 billion that he attacked on Face the Nation, this is how Republicans think. This ain't just Tim Scott. I understand you playing that segment. You have to understand, this is how Republicans think. Senator Lindsey Graham has been attacking the $5 billion, calling it racist and calling it reparations. He was on Fox News attacking this. So I'm glad you did the interview with Secretary Vilsack. I'm glad also they're going to focus in on heirs property, because I've been studying the ways that African-American farmers have lost their land, 12 million acres of land over the past 100 years. And heirs property is one of the ways that was used to steal our land, as well as over assessing the tax liabilities on these lands as well, brother. So this is an example of how elections have consequences. I can't stress this enough. And lastly, Roland, not a single traitorous Republican in the House of Representatives or the U.S. Senate voted for this $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan that has the $5 billion in it going to farmers of color, including African-American farmers.
And, it's very interesting, Brittany. I've had to deal with all of these nincompoops on social media. The Asians got a bill. The Asians got a bill. We ain't got no bill. $5 billion. Wasn't $5 billion in that COVID bill, an anti-hate bill? And first of all, it wasn't the Asian bill.
Right.
Okay? Any fool who could read the bill would know it wasn't the Asian bill. Was it as a result of people raising the issue on Asian hate crime attacks? Yes. But the bill is not Asian specific. But it's amazing, I've listened to a lot of fools. Biden ain't done nothing, the Democrats ain't done nothing, the CBC ain't done nothing. Well, how in the hell the $5 billion got in the bill?
Yeah, Roland, I mean, it's really just silly. And quite frankly, if anyone is actually taking a look at these bills, they know that they're useful to all of us across the board, right? And I think one of the things I've actually been rather impressed when it comes to Biden and the Democrats is we have seen them move left and do things particularly that would support our community as Black folks time and time again. I mean, even when we're talking about his plans to attack major corporations, that has to do directly with us. He is doing the necessary work, and quite frankly, I think that bill was an important piece of legislation.
But it's just it's as if nothing actually happened with the Black farmers, Michael. It's as if I'm just trying to understand all the folks who holler reparations. What the hell is that?
Well, brother, it's you can't make sense out of nonsense, first of all right? I would encourage people to go to whitehouse.gov and actually read the 45 plus executive orders. See, people don't want to read. That's part of the problem. Go to whitehouse.gov. Every executive order that a president signs is at whitehouse.gov. You can read it for yourself. A lot of these executive orders impact African Americans. He did one January 26th. I talked about this yesterday on my show that deals with redlining. Okay? And redlining historically has locked African Americans out of wealth creation. When you deal with reparations, you just had the hearing and you covered it on your show. I did it on mine, Tulsa Race Massacre. But what people have to understand is if you don't get 60 votes in the Senate, which means 10 Republicans need to vote for it if Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema vote for reparations, which they're not going to do. If you don't get 10 votes in the Senate, H.R. 40 or any reparations bill is not going anywhere. So if you look at the American Rescue Plan, if you look at the infrastructure bill, if you look at the American Families Plan, all these policies impact African Americans. The American Rescue Plan, the tax credits for children, is going to cut child poverty in half. Do you know any Black children? This is going to see, this is stupid ass nonsense. Okay, all you got to do is read. Proper documentation ends all conversation. If you and the COVID-19 hate crime bill, it's not called an Asian hate crime bill. The actual name of it is the COVID-19 hate crime bill. You can read all bills at congress.gov. You can read all bills that Congress. I was reading the text of the bill yesterday. If you actually read the bill, it applies to COVID-related hate crimes against everybody, not just Asian Americans. Yes, it was spurred by 150% increase in hate crimes reported by Asian Americans, but it's not specific to Asian Americans. Now, what they should do is go ahead and push this anti-lynching bill again that they tried to push, and it was blocked in the Rand Paul Republican. They should push that again now, and then expose the Republicans for their hypocrisy when they vote against it. I'm all for the anti-lynching bill, but the COVID-19 hate crimes bill is what it's actually called. Go to congress.gov and read it. It's not specific to Asian Americans. People just want to complain about BS, and they don't read. This is part of the problem.
If you want to see stupidity, here is sheer stupidity. Tanya Smith on YouTube, Taniya Smith. You stupid. This is literally what she tweeted, Bernarda. Roland, what the hell is $5 billion?
What?
This dumbass. She literally tweeted, Roland, what the hell is $5 billion? Biden hasn't done nothing for blacks. I ain't say $5. I ain't say 5,000, 500,000, 5 million. We talking $5 billion. This dumbass, Tanya Smith, $5 billion ain't nothing. Tanya, tell that to a black farmer who's behind on a loan. Tell that to a black farmer who got screwed with Trump's tariff war, who's been out there struggling. And you sitting your dumb ass on YouTube talking about $5 billion ain't nothing. The black farmers have been fighting for this money. And then when it got approved, they got sued, and you sitting your ignorant ass on here talking about $5 billion ain't nothing. Bernarda, go on ahead.
It's so upsetting. You know, one thing is, like, I'm from the Dominican Republic. I'm from the island. So one thing is that when my family immigrated from here, immigrated to the U.S., is that in the country, the way that we survive is by the farms, by growing our own food, growing our own produce. So the farmers, this has such a huge impact. Do you know $5 billion, how many families it would affect? I mean, it will go down generations, this amount of money, that it's about time that these farmers got. We've been talking about this for years. Look at the huge decline of how much farmers are now in existence. So it's about time that it finally came there. So Tanya, let's not even give us some time of day. Move on, Roland.
Well, and again, there's a reason why the three banking institutions who we talked about are trying to fight it, because they mad the loans are going to get paid off early. No. Y'all need to understand, we ain't playing games here. We know the okie doke. And so at some point, we need to stop dealing with just stuck on stupid people who, folk like Tanya, they gonna whine about everything. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if they put $20 billion in for that impacted black people, and she probably say $20 billion ain't nothing. I mean, that's what we're dealing with. And I'm telling you, folks, it's a lot of people who know nothing about stimulus. Nothing. And then I had one dude who was sitting there going, well, I don't understand why, we sitting here, they putting this in and they ain't done this, ain't done that. And why we got to push them to pass stuff? I'm like, you do know that's what people do every single day. And then I had one person going to get mad at me, saying, well, I don't understand why they couldn't put the John Lewis bill and put it in together with the COVID anti-Asian bill and pass both at the same time. And I'm like, so you pay no attention to the fact that Republicans do not want to pass a voter bill? This is easy, y'all. The so-called anti-Asian hate crime bill got 94 votes. That's why it passed. You need 60 votes. Folks, back to that Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in black-owned businesses, the black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
No charcoal grills are allowed. I'm white. I got you, Carl. Illegally selling water without a permit
on my property.
Whoa! Hey! I'm uncomfortable.
We're just going to call this one Full Moon Karen. Y'all, this crazy-ass white woman, she decided to get a little bit vulgar with a black cop. Didn't go so over well for Full Moon Karen.
You're going to be in jail.
I really... Oh, my God!
Okay. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, heck! I got another video! Taser, taser, taser! Taser, taser! Ah! She got tased!
Roll that again.
You're going to be in jail.
I really... Oh, my God!
Okay. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, heck! I got another video! Taser, taser, taser! Taser, taser! Ah! She got tased!
Hey, I'm good. I'm good on that one, Teresa. Look, you act the fool, some stuff gonna happen.
Taser, 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 taser.
That woman had to either be intoxicated. She had to be intoxicated on something. I mean, who shows her total behind? I mean, all of it, down to the crack, to the police. She had to be intoxicated.
Yeah, I don't know. She could have been probably in the right mindset. I mean, but she was messing with the wrong one. But even in this instance, right? I'm glad we can laugh about it now. But in some instances, some people would have took out a gun. This African-American woman police officer, she needs a heroic award for managing the situation. She could have kicked her in the butt, right? But she didn't. She literally tried to grip her up. Then she had to run after her. Then she realized her shoes were the shoes. And so then she took up the taser, which was the next step. So congrats to this African-American police officer who followed the handbook from start to finish and didn't slap the woman. Because I know some of us who was recording saying taser, taser, taser. But she did the right thing.
Avis, again, these people are outlandish. Hey, guess what? One shot, boom, she went down.
Yeah, literally, she dropped it like it was hot. It was kind of, I thought that it was interesting though, that, this is an example of what a well-trained police officer does. It's interesting that she had no problem with determining which side her taser was on versus which side her gun was on. And she was able to actually use a taser while the suspect was running away, where other people will claim that, oh, in this instance, you can't really shoot the taser. It's too far. I mean, all sorts of excuses that we hear after Black people end up dead for nothing. So, it like you said, it's amusing to see. I especially love the little slide that she did at the end after she did the face plant in the road. But once again, it's an example of how policing is supposed to be done. And if Black police officers go through the very same training that these white police officers do, then, we know that a lot of these things that happen clearly aren't happening because of lack of training. They're happening because people are predisposed to be extra violent and to the point of murderous when it comes to Black people.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. It's education time. And bottom line, Greg, I'm sick and tired of these people. Again, listen to folk who are preying on their emotions, who are doing the same thing to y'all that Trump's doing. Pushing your racial buttons, and you end up attacking black people who are actually fighting for you. Y'all can go ahead and comment before I go to break. Go ahead. Greg, Reese, Mustafa.
I just co-sign, brother. Reading is fundamental. That's what they said to us when we were growing up. And my daddy was like your daddy. My daddy worked that shift at the VA hospital, come home, read that paper, front to back, back to front. And a lot of y'all understand that because you got people like that in your families. We all understand why everybody is feeling that way. It's out of our pain. Our people have been persecuted for centuries. So this isn't an attack on that pain. It's a reminder, as John Henry Clark used to say, don't just get mad, get smart. We can do this, but we're going to have to do it. Everything. What do they feel Randolph say? I mean, about whatever you get at that table, you have to take, and then you got to keep it. This is a war. It's been a war since they put for first person who looked like you put their hands on you on the coast of Africa, and black people sold black people into slavery. Let's get rid of that too. Guess what? No supply, no demand, no supply. It wouldn't have been no fights over there if it hadn't been a boat sitting up there with some people who are open enemies, and now their children's children are the ones shooting you in the face in the streets and trying to pass legislation to keep you out. And if you don't think calling and protesting and doing all this stuff isn't effective, ask yourself this. Why are they working so hard to stop you from voting? Because they understand. It's up to us to understand now.
Reese?
Dr. Carr, I think what he said is not an attack on your pain. That is so key. It's not an attack on your pain. I understand, like Dr. Carr says, why people feel like black people are left out. We are left out all the time. But let's focus on the battles that we still have yet to win. We're not sitting up here comparing shit that we already got decades ago. Is it as effective as it could be? No. And neither is this new COVID-19 hate crimes bill going to be, okay? So let's focus on what's still left to do. Let's focus on putting one more tooth in that mouth, these toothless bills.
That's right.
Let's focus on who are our real enemies. There are real enemies, okay? Almost 100% of the Republican Party, we can't even get them to say 2 + 2 = 4, and y'all up on the CBC's ass every time I turn around. So let's focus on the people that are actually standing in the way of us getting our justice, of us making progress, and quit being distracted by the clickbait, being distracted by the memes, by the tweets that are miscaptioned, and the images and the headlines and the disinformation and the YouTube scholars. And let's actually educate ourselves on what the solutions are, who are the people pushing those solutions, and who are the people on the opposite side, and mobilize in that way. Because like Dr. Carr always says, the individual is not going to beat it. We have to collectively come together. And the sooner that we become a we, instead of warring factions on Twitter, we will start to make progress, period.
That's right.
Mustafa?
Black folks, we are incredibly powerful, but we deplete our power when we don't educate ourselves, when we don't understand the systems and where the leverage points are. I worked for John Conyers for 2 years. In the nighttime, at the end of the day, John would come in and he would say, who called in today? Who emailed in today? What were their concerns? Were they supporting HR 676, the universal health care bill that we were working on, and a number of other things? Did anybody call in and ask about reparations and the bills that I'm introducing to actually address that issue? You have power, but we give it away. We give it away to folks all the time. Reese shared with you. I wanted to take notes while you were talking, because if we would actually understand our power and we would continue to utilize it in this moment, the midterms is a blink away. What are you doing? How are you getting prepared? Who else are you educating to maximize that power? If you want to actually make sure you're supporting these brothers and sisters who are fighting for you. On Capitol Hill, it is a shark game that's going on up there. They need your support. The administration needs your support to push them to go as far as they possibly can. If they turn around and there's nobody pushing them, then they can't say, I got 1 million folks. So let's do this. Let's have 1 million black folks over the next week call the folks on Capitol Hill, email to folks on Capitol Hill. And as Roland said, or make sure you're stopping by, if you got your mask on, because I still think black folks need to wear masks, you go by their district offices and just say, you know what, I just want to share with you what my expectations are of the member, and I'm going to support that member if they're moving in that direction. That's what power looks like. If you want the resources that the federal government actually has, you got to get engaged in that. These dollars that are going to flow from the federal down to the state, to the counties, and to the locals, you got to be engaged in that process. If you don't, those dollars are going to go to the folks who are engaged in the process.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, y'all, this is strange. In North Carolina, a judge must appear before a criminal court for allegedly trying to hit several Black Lives Matter protesters with his SUV. North Carolina Court of Appeals Judge John Tyson is charged with misdemeanor assault with a deadly weapon. In the video released by Fayetteville police, Tyson's SUV is seen entering the turnabout and coming back around in the lane marked with Black Lives Matter. Protesters were in that lane. It's not clear how close the vehicle came to the demonstrators. Judge Tyson is scheduled to appear in a Cumberland County court next month. That's a pretty interesting one there, that a judge, he's going to have to face the music there, Brittany.
Absolutely, and he should. Roland, this is insane. These are, it's literally the whole culture of criminal justice, essentially. These are the same folks, a judge, making decisions about Black and brown lives on a daily basis. And he had the audacity. This wasn't an accident. This man purposely and deliberately came around. He could have injured someone. He could have killed someone. I hope they prosecute his behind to the fullest extent of the law. He deserves it.
Bernarda?
Absolute shame. And I hope that the prosecution, as well as the other judges, are looking into his past cases to see how did he administer justice according to him based on this act, because this shows a lot about his character.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the Black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in Black-owned businesses, the Black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Let's go to Texas. A former Dallas County prosecutor is disbarred from practicing law in Texas, withholding vital evidence in a case where two homeless black men were sentenced to life in prison. Richard Jackson surrendered his law license after the Supreme Court of Texas concluded that he failed to inform Dennis Allen and Stanley Mosey's defense attorneys about evidence that could have cleared them at their capital murder trials in 2000. The men spent 14 years in prison for the fatal stabbing of a pastor. They were released in 2014 after DNA testing helped clear them. According to the Innocence Project, Jackson is one of just 4 prosecutors disbarred for misconduct that resulted in a wrongful conviction. See, this is the thing I was talking about earlier with the North Carolina story. Avis, the DA is supposed to uphold the law. The Supreme Court above, at the top of the building says equal justice under law. And here we have a white prosecutor so hell-bent on a conviction that withholds evidence. This guy spent 14 years in prison, and he didn't do it.
Absolutely. And what's really harrowing to me is the logical leap that one could take that, what are the odds that this is the only time he did this and this happened to be caught? I mean, I believe that all of the cases that he prosecuted should be examined deeply, because I can guarantee you this was not a one-time thing. As you've just mentioned, the goal here was to get a conviction. The goal was not to get justice. The goal was to get anyone they could get to find guilty by any means necessary, even if that meant to keep out of the hands of the defense or to the judge or anyone else evidence that they had, which specifically showed that these were not the people that were guilty of that heinous crime. So, to me, I'm glad that he's disbarred, but that's not all that needs to happen. They need to go back and make sure that every case that he prosecuted is examined, because I can guarantee you other people are sitting in jail today that shouldn't be there.
See, this is part of the problem, Julianne. Prosecutors want us to trust their judgment. They want us to trust that things were done above board. And this DA withholds evidence. Could have cleared these guys. Totally ignores it. And they go to jail for 14 years. All he gets is being disbarred. I'm sorry. To me, this is where you actually put a law in that if a DA withholds evidence, they should go to jail.
Well, I'm with you on that. I really do think this guy needs to spend some jail time. It's absurd that he deliberately withheld evidence. It's not like the cases where somebody made a mistake, where someone come back, 5 years later and says a mistaken identity or something like that. This is willful, evil withholding of evidence that cost these brothers, 14 years. They should be paid. Not only should they be paid, he should spend some time up under the jail.
Teresa.
Yeah, I agree. Legislators, this is the time to act. If anybody was looking for a case within their state to actually stand up for justice, stand up for reform, this would be the case. Because you have, again, across the country, you have some prosecutors who are new to the, new to the bench in so many ways, but new to being a prosecutor. And they have a conviction record that they have to meet. Those are goals that they have to meet. And unfortunately, these 2 young men, I believe the crime was stabbing 47 times a black pastor. And it's like, well, one, this is the character train that this person is obviously something's going on in their mind, when really these kids are just wrongfully convicted. So now not only do they have, the psych evaluations that probably did come to them in the 14 years that they were in prison, but now they have this notion and this character assassination that they're going to have to rebrand themselves as, as being sane. because this is a heinous act. So again, I think if any legislator was able to step up and say, look, I want to put a law to make sure not only is this prosecutor getting disbarred, but we're now putting a law in to make sure that anybody that takes this position moving forward now receives the same equal justice. And that includes prison time and any other crimes that they deem fit that fits the crime that happens in the future.
Absolutely. So it's just sad that they had to spend 14 years in prison for a crime they didn't commit because you had an unethical prosecutor who now does not have his law license. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it. Please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Folks, let's talk about this story here that I don't know how this is going to go well, but it may cause some problems. The Georgia Supreme Court, they have ruled that if police perform an unlawful arrest, the person being arrested can essentially fight back. The ruling stems from an Athens man named Christopher Glenn, who was unlawfully arrested in 2018. Police arrested him while he was walking home because they received a call someone was loitering. Glenn wasn't. When officers attempted to arrest him, Glenn headbutted one of the officers and got on top of another. His case went all the way to the Georgia Supreme Court, where, based on English laws from the 1700s, the judges ruled that Glenn was within his rights to fight back because he was unlawfully detained. The ruling could have a significant impact on how unlawful arrest cases are defended in Georgia. I'm not necessarily, Brittany, going to recommend black folks try this one. I don't know if Christopher's white or black, but I'm just saying, first of all, determining what's unlawful, what isn't. I'm just saying I'm going to be a little careful with this one if I'm black in Georgia.
Exactly.
Roland, that was my first thought. I'm like, who's Glenn? Is Glenn white or black? Because, the situation just wouldn't go down like that with us. I love the idea of us being able to exercise our constitutional rights and legally resist if we're allowed to. However, Lord knows we watch white folks resist every day, whether it's law or not. But with us, black folks, unfortunately, we lose our lives on a regular basis when we're complying. So I'm certainly not going to tell us to go out here and start resisting arrest because we know we're being illegally detained. I wish we could do what the law said we should be able to do, but we know that's not how it works with us.
Well, and I want to say this here, D. Look, I know the Georgia Supreme Court made this ruling, but you got to start first with who the hell decides what's unlawful or not.
Exactly. And since I live in Georgia, I can assure you, if they try to arrest me, I'm going to go to jail and deal with it on the back end because they would kill my black behind. So I just need everybody not to pay that any attention. And now that it is being out in the public, I can assure you the Georgia General Assembly is going to go back in and rescind that law because they not want black people trying to resist being arrested. Watch what happens.
Yeah, Michael, I'm just saying, I'm going to warn everybody, black brothers and sisters in Georgia, y'all might want to ignore the Supreme Court ruling. I don't think this one applies to us.
Brother, it's
I'm,
you know,
I'm not trying to do another story of somebody black who's killed.
I need to brush up on my law in England in the 1700s, but and reading this, Roland, not only does it say that in this case here, that not only did the Judge of the Supreme Court rule that Glenn was within his rights to resist the unlawful arrest, but they also ruled that he could also damage government property while doing so. Black people, don't try this at home. I'm telling you right now. You know, and the other gray area is, okay, how do you determine what an unlawful arrest is? You know, because certain things that we see and we say this is unlawful, but when you get to court, it may not be unlawful. So, you know, at the very least, we need more clarification on this.
Up and down.
But you know, and I want to know I want to know the ethnicity, the race of Glenn, because I think he's white. I don't think this I don't think this was meant for us. You keep in mind, Georgia is the state that has the largest Confederate monument in this country. It's called Stone Mountain. Okay, I don't think this was meant for us.
Like I say, I'm trying to check right now to see, but I don't think Christopher Glenn is a brother. So we'll see. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it. Please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Elizabeth City Council member believes the cops there are retaliating against him for joining protests demanding the video be released in the death of Andrew Brown Jr. Councilman Gabriel Atkins spoke to his colleagues hours after Brown's death, expressing his fear as a black man and later calling for the release of the footage showing the fatal incident. Well, guess what? Atkins posted this surveillance video to his Facebook account of 2 instances last week where a uniformed police officer is urinating on the property of his funeral home. He believes his advocacy and organization of protest are the cause of police retaliation. Atkins says the Sheriff's Department has previously provided escorts for his funeral home, but is not responding to escort requests since his calls for action. Guess the sheriff's folks didn't realize, Omakongo, that there were cameras there. This is the kind of action we see, and the fact that they're not even responding to his funeral home, yeah, these are sheriff's deputies now being pissed off that they're being challenged by the public.
And I think you might have had that pun intended when you said pissed off. It's just shameful, not even respect for the dead. We're talking about a funeral home here. And I do fear for this councilman because we have seen across the country, we saw it with the person who filmed Eric Garner's killing. We saw it with the person who filmed the killing of Walter Scott as well, that these police will retaliate if you out them in any way, shape, or form, if you speak up. And to go and find that, and then again to deny the escorts as well, these officers do not want to do their job. And that's why we need the Civil Rights Division, because if you can't respect the dead, if you can't respect families and say we're not going to have indictments, if you can't respect people who are city council members enough to not go and do something like that, what type of hope and respect does the average person on the streets of Elizabeth City have? Not much.
The thing here, Ben, is that these cops all across the country, they cannot stand folks demanding accountability.
That's right.
Absolutely. And the other component of this is, Roland, too often we think of cops as being fair arbiters of justice because they put on a badge and they have on a uniform. But when in reality, underneath that badge and uniform is a person that has political ideologies and that are in some proximity to or servants of white supremacy. They are human beings who are carrying out their own personal agenda. They just so happen to have on a badge and a uniform and guns. And so in this case, we're seeing that, and not just this case, but all over the country, these officers absolutely are acting out because they have been able to go with impunity. They've been able to do these things for years without any accountability, and the nerve of black people to actually say enough is enough. And they're saying that they just can't handle it.
You know, Kelly, look, and bottom line is this here. That's what I keep telling people. The hell with them. They don't like accountability. Guess what? Stop shooting folks. Stop killing folks. Ain't that hard?
I mean, you would think that it's not hard, but for an entity of people, especially in the South, whose history is rooted in Klansmanship and racism, police officers will have a difficult time not giving into their instinct of seeing black skin as a weapon and trying to either apprehend it or subdue it altogether. So the fact that we are looking at footage right now of a police officer in uniform desecrating holy ground for the most part. You know, when you go to a funeral home, any funeral home, it is sacred ground. That is a neutral territory away from chaos, away from conflict, away from drama. You are there to honor loved ones. You are there to honor those who are no longer amongst the living. And for an officer, anybody, to dishonor that shows you not just how disgusting they are, but who they really are as a person. Like, they are disgusting, not just the act. They are disgusting. And the fact that this disgusting act is stemming from this good old boys mentality of having to stick together in wrongness and shame. There's something to be said about that. There's something to be said about the fact that people are so willing to uphold racist status quo that they are willing to trespass on sacred ground and show just how pissed off they are about it, pun intended.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in black-owned businesses, the black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Folks, prosecutors dismissed charges against a black woman in a wrongful police stop. Juanisha Brooks was physically pulled from her car by State Trooper Robert Hindenlin. His reason, her taillights were out. When asked why she was stopped, Hinderlang told Brooks to step out of her car. Watch this.
Looks like he's finally stopped on Oakwood Drive.
Hello.
Can I see your driver's license, vehicle registration, please?
Sure. What made you pull me over?
Can you step out here? I'll show you.
Why am I stepping out the car?
I'll show you what's wrong with your car.
You can tell me from in here?
Huh?
I said, you can tell me from in here. I don't really want to step outside my car.
Okay, I need you to step out of the car. Need you to step out of the car?
For what?
Because I need you to step out of the car because you took off from me on a traffic stop.
I didn't realize. I thought you were.
Are you not going to step out of the car?
No, I thought you were emergency. I thought you were like a.
Can you take your seatbelt off for me, please, ma'am?
I thought you were a. What's it called? I thought you were an ambulance or something. That's why I was trying to get out of the way at first. I didn't know.
Okay, can you step out of the car again for me, please? I'm asking you a second time.
You call my sister.
Ma'am, I need you to step out of the car.
I'm about to have a panic attack. I don't want to step out the car.
Ma'am, I'm asking you nicely to step out of the car, please. You're being visually and audibly recorded for protection. The subject's refusing to get out of the car. Ma'am, do I have to remove you from the car?
Please don't do that. I work for the Department of Defense. I don't want you to.
Ma'am, step out of the car. Step out of the car.
Not do this.
Step out of the car,
What
ma'am.
are you doing?
This car park.
Please stop.
Step out.
Please
Hold up.
stop. What are you doing?
Step out. Step out.
What did I do?
Step out. Step out.
What are you doing?
Don't grab me. Don't
Not
grab me.
grabbing you. Are you Give me my phone back.
Stop.
What are you doing?
Stop.
Stop. Stop.
Stop. Stop.
What are you doing?
Stop.
Oh my God, you're hurting me. Get off.
Stop.
Get off. Get off of me. Give me my phone back. What are you doing? Ma'am, what is happening?
You're being detained
I
right
don't
now.
have any. Wait, you're not reasoning my rights. You're not saying anything. Why are you crying? What are you doing? What are you doing?
You took off from me after you stopped.
Because I thought you were like an ambulance or something.
So you pulled back out in front of me. You pulled back in front of me. Do you have an ID on you?
I was on the highway. I've never gotten pulled over on the highway before.
Do you have your driver's license?
Car.
Don't stand here. Don't move.
The Department of Defense for the intelligence community. Like, what are you doing? Stay right here. What are you doing? I'll report you to the general.
Everything's being real.
Like, are you serious?
Can you hold her?
I have no
Hold her arm.
charges ever in my life.
Okay, that's being recorded, everything you've done. Number one, you don't have any taillights on your vehicle. Number two, you're following two cars at about 55 miles per hour, 2 car lengths off of them. Number three, you pulled over and then took off again. You failed to yield to my vehicle. I asked you to step out of the car so you wouldn't take off again. You refused to get out of the car. I had to pull you out of the car.
You pulled me out. You didn't even give me enough time to get out of the car, and I was afraid. I've never been pulled over by the cops like this or handcuffed. I pulled back because I didn't know you were pulling me over on the highway. I've never been pulled over on the highway like that. First, I thought it was an emergency vehicle, so I'm trying to figure out what to do. Do I get over on this side? And then I get over, and then the other car in front of me got over too, and then they went back. I didn't know. Usually if you're getting pulled over, I thought it would be some announcement. I didn't know that I was being pulled over. And that's why I got off the highway. Was I supposed to stop?
Why are your eyes so watery when I pulled up?
Why are my eyes watering?
Yeah.
Because people have been shot by the police. I'm freaking nervous.
But I thought you said you thought it was an ambulance.
After you came, that's why when you pulled me over, I realized now. But when I was on the highway, it looked as though it was an ambulance. All I saw was red lights. I did not know what it was.
Okay.
No one said pull over. No one said step. Like, if you would have said pull over, I would have known you were the police.
Okay.
I've never gotten pulled over like this. I don't know what to do on the highway.
Okay, when's the last time you had something to drink?
When's the last time? Probably like 2 hours ago.
Okay. How much did you have to drink?
Just one regular cocktail.
Okay. You know what time you had that?
It was 2 hours ago.
Okay, you know what time it is now?
It's around 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Would you have any problem doing some sobriety tests to be sure you're okay to drive?
No, I don't want to take a sobriety
Okay.
test.
All right. Would you be willing to take a preliminary breath test?
No.
Okay. 356. Okay, walk with me, please, ma'am.
What's happening?
We got to go down and take a test. I'll read all that information to you just momentarily.
Am I arrested?
You're under arrest right now for driving under the influence and failing to yield for me.
So if we go back and there is no driving under the influence, which it isn't, then I won't be under.
You'll be issued the summons for the traffic offenses, and the magistrate will make the determination from there.
The officer, again, believed that Brooks was driving under the influence. She took 2 breathalyzer tests. Her blood alcohol level, 0 both times. Now, check this out. After that didn't fly, the cop then charged her with resisting arrest. eluding police, failing to have her headlights on, and reckless driving. After prosecutors viewed the dash cam video, they determined the stop was without proper legal basis, dismissed all charges, and called for an internal investigation conducted by state police. But here's the other thing, Mustafa, that's important here with this story here. The state law was changed specifically to stop cops from pulling people over for taillight infractions. Why? Because they concluded that this is exactly why officers were stopping black folks disproportionately. So the officer actually was in violation of the law because he was ignoring the law that was actually passed. And this was precisely why.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out and what charges are brought against him or fines are brought against this individual. And folks should also take a look and see if he has a record of these types of, pulling folks over and that type of thing. We know that there have been police departments across the country, and there are studies that verify this, that have used being able to pull folks over to actually fill their coffers. So I'm not saying that that was what this situation was. We also understand this power dynamic that goes on. When black folks and brown folks get pulled over, we're never given the benefit of the doubt, even in the tiniest of infractions. And then folks allow these types of situations to escalate. And I don't blame the system for being nervous. We've seen time and time again how these types of situations can play out in a very deadly fashion for far too many folks. So, her being nervous makes sense. And him not actually, and this is the other thing, Roland, and I still haven't been able to get my mind around. If a police officer pulls you over, he should just tell you, this is why I'm pulling you over. At least then the person will have a better understanding of what's going on in that situation. But this is why many of these police departments have to change. And they're not going to change usually just because, they finally have this epiphany that the things that they've been doing have been detrimental to our communities.
And Benjamin, he comes up and she's like, "Why are you pulling me over? Step out of the car." She's like, "No, I don't. It's nighttime. I don't know what the hell you doing." And so her deal is, "I am safer in my car." And then he insists, "No, get out of your car. Get out of your car. Get out of your car." I need everybody to understand. This is and this is the thing I need people to understand. What you saw here was exactly what happened with Sandra Bland. Mm-hmm. The moment the cop said, "I need you to get out of the car," and the person says no, that's when they get you on resisting arrest. Because because the law says when you have been given a quote lawful command by an officer, you are to obey it even if you disagree with the command. And and every one of these cops, that's what they use to get folks. It's sort of like when the prosecutors couldn't get Al Capone on murder, they got him on tax evasion.
Roland, the first thing that came to mind was Sandra Bland, because this is exactly this type of scenario. I think Sandra didn't make a proper right-hand turn or left-hand turn with a signal, something ridiculous.
No. You see, Sandra did the same thing she did. Sandra was trying to get out of his way. And when he pulls her over, she said, you were all up on me, following me. I was trying to get out of your way. And he's like, "Oh, no, you didn't use your turn signal. I'm trying to get out of your way."
Absolutely. And it's that justification. It's they look for anything they possibly can to pull us over. That's the point. They absolutely look for anything they can to pull us over. But also what was happening in that clip was he was looking for any opportunity he could to escalate. He took everything that she said and twisted it. He took her simple request to ask, "Why am I being pulled over?" which is a standard question that they should be prepared to answer. And he escalated, said, "Well, get out of the car and I'll show you why." And every turn he looked to escalate it, looking for a way to find something to pin on her. And this is what we have with police officers too often, Roland. If you have the unmitigated gall to just simply ask why I have been pulled over, they do not like that question. They want their authority to go unchallenged in that moment. And so he took every opportunity he could to escalate that situation, and all of those so-called good cops are standing around watching him, knowing full well what he was doing was not right, was not proper, and could have led to something far more worse than it already did. And so it's just another testament to how often this happens, but also how they just don't see us as human I'm sorry, you don't do this to people if you see them as equal to you, equal to your partner, to your spouse, to your wife, to your. This was a woman in the late evenings, and he took it upon himself to violate her in this way. And that's because this country has a history of dehumanizing Black people, and we're still dealing with it in the year of our Lord 2021.
And Kelly, again, luckily this Fairfax County prosecutor dropped all charges and then took it further by saying this cop needs to be checked for his actions against this woman and what he put her through.
Frankly, I'm just glad that this young woman is alive because, like Benjamin and even Mustafa implied, it could have gone so many different ways. She could have been the next Sandra Bland. And, you know, I live in D.C. The fact that this was in Virginia, this is one of the many reasons why I don't visit Virginia like that, because as far as I'm concerned, the entire state is a sundown town. And it's for reasons like this. You're talking about a situation in which she pulled over thinking that she was helping y'all out, trying to, you know, bypass you guys into an emergency that was supposed to be happening. And that wasn't the case. And then it's 2:00 in the morning. You know, there are stories in which you have fake cops on the road that late. We don't know, you know, I mean, in her eyes, she doesn't know that you're an actual cop. You didn't identify yourself. You just go to her door and is asking for, you know, her to get out the car. I didn't hear anything about license and registration until about 2-3 minutes into that tape. I didn't hear anything about why she was being pulled over until after they realized that she knew what her rights were and they had to come up with some BS as to why she was pulled over in the first place. This is an incredibly scary situation for anybody, let alone a Black woman in Virginia, the capital of the Confederacy. People forget about that. She was out there alone in the capital of the Confederacy, and you got basically the equivalent of Klansmen, as far as I'm concerned, approaching her vehicle, telling her to get out. Yeah. That's scary.
Absolutely.
And then for them to not have a reason for her to be pulled over and coming up with things on the fly, and then the icing on the crappy cake, why are your eyes watering? I'm sorry, I think I'm about to die, sir, because I'm not supposed to be pulled over. I'm trying to get home. I'm sober. I'm of sound mind. I know where I'm going. You don't. That's the problem.
Well, and this is one of the issues, again, that we face when the cops, they hold all of the power. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. In South Carolina, where officials there released video late last night of a young Black man named Jamal Sutherland, who was viciously beaten and killed by jail officials. This took place January 5th, 2021. He experienced a mental crisis in the sheriff's department. He died in the Al Cannon Detention Center a few hours after being arrested for what? A misdemeanor assault charge. So last night, the Charleston County Sheriff's Office released this video footage. Folks, let me warn you right now, it is shocking, it is disturbing, and this has led to a settlement with this family that was announced moments ago, We carried this live on Roland Martin Unfiltered, a settlement of $10 million. And so I'm going to hold 5 more seconds. If you want to turn away, please do so. But this is absolutely, folks, disturbing video. Control room, play it.
Get down on the ground. Get down, Sutherland. Get down.
Control for 37E, SMU, 37E, SMU.
Turn on your stomach. Turn on your stomach. Turn on your stomach. And you're going to get another one. Come to the door. Slide to the door. Slide to the door. Get on your stomach. Slide to the door. Stay on your stomach. I can't stand up. Stay on your stomach. Slide. Come to the door. I got it. Slide. Keep sliding. Keep sliding. Keep sliding. I got it. Keep sliding. Come on, Sutherland. Keep going. Keep coming. Sutherland. Keep moving. Keep sliding. Let me go. No, stay down. And slide. Stay down and slide.
What's the meaning of this?
Keep coming. Keep coming. Hey, turn on your stomach. Turn on your stomach. Turn on your stomach. Turn on your stomach.
For what?
Turn on your stomach.
As far as I'm turning.
Keep going.
No.
Oh, I'm doing get everything because you still got clothes.
As far as I'm turning.
Do not resist.
I'm going to flip it off.
Stop. You still got clothes in you. Loosen up. Loosen up.
Officer.
Hey. Stop. Get the cuffs on. Get another cuff.
Deputy Dawson, the Deputy Farrar.
Go ahead. I'm going to work that one.
The mayor of Charleston, South Carolina, Mayor Keith Summy, released a video Wednesday detailing the role that the Charleston Police Department played in the arrest of Sutherland. Watch this.
It is with great sadness that I speak to you about the death of Jamal Sutherland. Like many of you, I have seen the recent news coverage and believe it is in the community's best interest to understand what happened. While the city's involvement ended the day prior to Jamal's passing, I can at least shed light on the city of North Charleston's interactions. Jamal died at the Charleston County Jail on January the 5th, 2021, a day after North Charleston released him into the custody of the Sheriff's Department. I know that Sheriff Graziano is reviewing her staff's involvement. North Charleston's review is obviously centered on the actions of the North Charleston police officers. Our police department's encounter with Jamal ended the previous day when we turned him over safe to the jail staff. Nonetheless, I want the people of North Charleston to see how our officers treated Jamal and understand why he was taken into custody. Charleston County 911 dispatched officers from our department to Palmetto Behavioral Health on the evening of January 4th. Officers were told that a large-scale fight had erupted among patients and that staff urgently needed help from law enforcement. I want you to hear this for yourself so you can understand why North Charleston Police Department responded. Here are the first moments of the call made to dispatch.
911. Hi. There you are. Hi. It's 2777 Bicyger Drive, North Charleston, 29405. Tell me exactly what happened. We have committed patients in the psychiatric hospital. One has assaulted several patients, and they're asking to press charges, and now he's trying to assault more people.
In a later clip, you hear Palmetto staff report that people are in danger, and hear the situation inside Palmetto start to deteriorate.
Are you anyone else in danger right now? Several people are in danger right now. Yes, ma'am. What's going on now, Alyssa? Another patient has come to this unit and is trying to fight other patients. We need stat. We need help. Yes, ma'am. So it's 2 patients that's fighting right now? Several patients are fighting right now. Yes, ma'am. We do have a responder en route, okay?
Shortly thereafter, the scene becomes even more chaotic.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so we've separated the 2 primary patients, but I don't know how long it will last. He's very big. Okay. We have about 8 staff trying to hold him back. Whoa! Okay, so he's assaulted a staff member now. He needs to go. Oh, he's assaulting another staff member. Get him! Help Philip! Help Philip! Please help Philip! We need, oh my God, please, we need help. He just beat the out of Philip. Hey, we need help over here if anybody can spare it. And don't worry about it. See that. Philip, come back. Philip just got the kicked out of him. That's one of the staff members? Yeah, go outside and sit down right there. Philip, if you see the police, just wave them. They're taking 2 patients. They're taking at least both of these patients to jail. Yes, ma'am. How many people have been injured? Do you need 5 or 6, 7, 8, probably 10. We probably need EMS.
Given the mass fight that had just occurred inside Palmetto, leaving Jamal at Palmetto or taking him to some other unsecured facility was not a safe option for patients or staff. North Charleston Police had a responsibility to deliver Jamal safely from Palmetto to the jail. That is exactly what they did. Prior to transporting Jamal to jail, our officers took the time to ask all the questions that you would want them to ask. They talked to Palmetto's behavioral staff to understand exactly what had happened.
That Jamal guy tried to come across the unit, so we had a code with him. We got him kind of like calmed down, and then lo and behold, he started punching people on the other unit. Yeah, he got one guy twice real good in the face. We tried to break him up. We got him kind of over to the corner, and another patient was trying to take up for one of the patients that got hit, so he popped him in the face twice.
They also specifically asked about whether the victims wanted to have Jamal arrested or prosecuted. Of key importance here, recognizing that Jamal had mental issues and was in custody of Palmetto Behavioral Health, our officers specifically asked both Palmetto and Charleston County EMS if it was appropriate for Jamal to be taken to the jail. This is what North Charleston Police Department was told by Palmetto.
So Jamal came across the counter and through the fax machine, all that kind of stuff. When we finally got him kind of contained, and then one of our staff members tried to get Jamal kind of hold him, and he went at him and attacked him. So it was freaking chaos. It was one thing happened, and then something else happened, and then something else happened.
So the people who got punched, are they staff members?
2 of them are patients. One hit 2 patients. Jamal assaulted a staff member.
Okay, staff want to press charges?
So. And we got to see the patients wanted 2 patients, and they're pretty adamant about wanting to press charges. So I can get their addresses for you if that's what you need.
We need all their information, and we need to know. We need to talk to them. We need to make sure they want to press charges.
And by Charleston County EMS.
Yeah, because he just told me to get F out of his face. He doesn't want to talk to me. Please don't hit that. Yeah. Are those court committals or anything, or?
He's committed. I imagine that Jamal is committed as well.
Okay.
So I think, yeah.
So how does that work, Chief? So if they're on papers, how does that work to go to the jail?
They can go to the jail. They just have to stay in custody of somebody, and that's where the issue lies. is they have the ultimate say because they've been put into their care in terms of for medical treatment. So if they wanted them transported someplace, they have to make sure it's set up with whatever facility that they're going to accept them if they went to the hospital. But as long as they're in police custody one way or another, then they're covered because they're a committal of the court, so they're still in somebody's custody.
Okay. And
We just can't let them walk out or let them go whatever hospital they want to go to.
As you hear, Palmetto and Charleston County EMS indicated that jail was an appropriate destination. Our officers transported him there. It is worth noting that Charleston County Jail has dedicated medical facilities on site for inmates. In fact, you will see in the next clip that a jail nurse was already in the intake area at the time our officers brought Jamal in.
Let go!
Relax.
Let go of me!
All right,
Now!
All right.
I need my medicine!
All right.
Let go of me!
Told you.
I'm nobody's token but God, but the Illuminati is after me because I'm talented, something you not. That's why you working here.
Staying slow. Thank you.
It's a real serious matter. The elite been watching me. They probably flying over this fucking jail right now.
You gotta stay by the wall, man. Please.
Have fun.
Thank you.
You'll see that when our officers last had Jamal in sight, he was healthy and being accompanied by a nurse as he went into the jail. It brings me sorrow to know that Jamal passed away the following day on January the 5th. But I am relieved that video and audio exist to let us see the respect and patience that North Charleston police officers displayed that night. While Jamal's family continues to grieve his passing, I hope our recordings of the interaction gives the family and the community confidence in the way we conducted ourselves.
The family of Jamal Sutherland also made a public statement, and here's what they had to say with the release of last night's video.
I'd like to thank the leadership in our state that have come out to help. I appreciate everyone. But what I want to say is that because of some things that are being put out, I feel like Jamal died yesterday. We were at a point where our hearts were content that Jamal was in heaven. But we have people now saying and doing things that they should not be doing because they're not aware of the situation. I'm gonna tell you about my son Jamal. Jamal was the second of our 3 kids. He was a man of God. We had a cousin of mine go in his room and she goes, "Why he has so many religious books?" Because he wanted to learn about God. Mental illness does not give anybody the right to put their hands on my child. That's my child. I love my child. His brother and his fathers, they loved Jamal. Jamal was good. I had 16 surgeries. Jamal never left my side. Even when he was going to the mental hospital, he wanted to make sure that his mom was all right. And I asked God to please have mercy on some of these people that are doing things that aren't right for a family that's grieving. Jamal's body is not an invitation for a circus. When you view these tapes, remember, he is a human being. He's not an animal. He was treated like one, but that's not who Jamal was. Jamal gave away everything he had. He would do anything for people. Jamal was a great, great, great son. He loved his father, and he told his father how much he loved him. He has 2 brothers. He loved his brothers. Jamal would give you the clothes off of his back because that's how I trained all of my children. Jamal Jamal was an example of what I wanted him to be. He died, and when he was being tased, pepper sprayed, he's hollering, hallelujah. If you don't hear what the tape is saying, my son's saying, hallelujah. They're handcuffing my son. He's hollering, hallelujah. How many men you know hollering hallelujah when they're going to jail? Jamal had enough sense to say, you didn't read me my rights. He may have been mentally ill, but he was brilliant. Jamal made music and gave it away. Jamal was an example of what we should want all our young men to be. Black, white, purple, or green. I'm not going to stand before anybody and say anything that I don't know for sure, and I ask you to do the same. Respect my family. Know that hurt has not gone away. It's still in us. We waited patiently. We waited for the tape to be released. People are saying that we didn't want to speak. I wanted to speak the day he died. But I can tell you something I didn't know. I did not know. Now that I know, now that I know how my baby died, I'm proud of him. Mentally ill, still able to say, thank you, Jesus, take care of me. I want y'all to know, Jamal was a great man. He had faults like everybody else, but he was a great man. And I just want you to know that. If I could bring him back, I'd leave. I would leave this earth for Jamal to come back to me. I cried so many days, come back. He's not coming back. And I'm content that God has Jamal in his arms. So please, don't make a circus of my baby's death. I don't need people out here reading lies. I don't need that. You destroy families when you do that. If you don't know, you are destroying the inside of us. You don't know, but you're telling somebody else about it. Please keep your conversations to what you know. I don't want any violence in my city. I want us to view this tape, and I want us to learn what we don't want happening again. I ask no violence.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
No charcoal grills are allowed. I'm white. I got you, bro. Illegally selling water without a permit
on my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
I have another crazy-ass white person, and this is from a really crazy-ass white person. You people remember him from Silver Spoon, Ricky Schroeder. You know, over the weekend, he verbally attacked a Costco employee. Then little Ricky decided to do a video where he apologized to the Costco employee. But then he tried to comment on stuff dealing with black people. Now, y'all remember Ricky Schroeder helped pay the bail for Kyle Rittenhouse. Yep. Ricky Schroeder, who's a huge Donald Trump supporter. If you want to know what this neo-Nazi thinks, listen to what this fool had to say about America and comparing America to Rhodesia. And if anybody speaks of Rhodesia, that was when the white folks ran what is now Zimbabwe. Listen to this. Sitting there, because I'm still confused by what the hell Ricky was talking about. Let's see here. Here we go. Do you guys hear now? Okay. Not sure. Give me 1 second. I'm going to change my audio output. This is, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. If y'all want to see what a white nationalist looks like, that's this guy who a lot of people used to follow in Hollywood. And y'all, and when I say it got strange, it got real strange because then this fool started talking about Candace Owens, and he started talking about. I mean, he like went real, like real cray cray. And so I'm not quite sure um, what his issues are. Guys, let me know if you're hearing it now. Okay, we're having some issues here. So let me sort of. I'm gonna switch this here. I'm gonna go to my iPad here. So. Um, and when we talk about Rhodesia, y'all gotta remember. Remember Dylan Roof? Remember he was wearing a patch of the Rhodesian government when he was busted. And so these white supremacists in this country, they keep invoking Rhodesia. And when you start invoking Rhodesia, hell, you might as well just invoke South Africa and their racist regime as well. And that's what we're seeing. And I keep telling people, my book come out next year, White Fear. And I just keep telling people, and they think I'm crazy. And I'm going, no, you got white people in this country who seriously are thinking that the country's going to hell in a handbasket because they cannot handle not being in control. And so some of the crazy talk that they have been stating. First of all, here's Ricky Schroeder talking about. Here is Ricky Schroeder, y'all. Y'all gonna really love this one. He's talking about how America was safer in the 80s. Okay, listen to this.
And so let's go back to that. Remember the 80s? It was safer. Obviously, not in the crack-filled streets in the inner cities. So that was, we got to kill all the drug dealers. And I don't mean the guys selling on the streets. I mean the big drug dealers. It is ravaging our country from the inside, and the black community has been abused by it for it being allowed into anywhere in this country. And it's our responsibility, it's your responsibility as leaders, to stop that from coming, that poison from coming into our streets. And you're not doing it. You're failing, and you're failing the people. So black community, we hear you. We know your despair, and we want to work together as Americans, all of us, to find a way out of this together. Anyway, I think my battery's dying. Everybody take care of each other. Until next time.
Actually, I would dare say, Ricky, I would say your brain is dying. And so listen to this one.
The concepts of socialism and they bind people. They don't let them grow up. They don't let them lift up. They don't let them upward mobility. They keep people down. And so please don't be used. Don't be used by a Marxist movement trying to start a revolution, because it won't bring better. It will bring more despair. The concepts of socialism and
now the hits keep on coming. The hits keep on coming. Julian, you're gonna really love this one. Check this fool out.
I wanted to talk to the black community, I guess, at the end. That's in poverty and that's in despair. We hear you. And what I'd like to say is that you have other black leaders that followed the Booker T. Washington thoughts. Candace Owens, Thomas Sowell, David Harris, Officer Tatum. That other officer is so great. He's actually a cop in uniform. Anyway, so you have great leaders that see it differently. Can you at least possibly consider not following the leaders that have led you to
5
the
seconds.
situation you're in today?
So he would like for black people to follow Candace Owens and David Harris. Okay, here's that one he was talking about Rhodesia. This is why you should not take any advice from a white supremacist. Final one.
Country that was once a thriving breadbasket of southern Africa, and then destroyed and became a place where whites live in fear. The fourth, fifth generation white farmers that have been there since the 1700s, run out or killed. And the country fell, and Mugabe took over and came to Zimbabwe. They used racial tension to create that disaster. I feel like that's what's happening here. I feel like they're stoking racial tension to try to create the same events here. And it's sinister and it's evil. If you look at Rhodesia, a country that was once a thriving breadbasket of southern Africa.
Okay, Julian, here's why that's so laughable. He laments the racial strife in Zimbabwe, but he just completely ignores the apartheid where the white folks control the country and rule the nation with an iron fist. But then blames racial strife on Mugabe in Zimbabwe. First of all, Mugabe is dead. There are many people who have been highly critical of Mugabe's reign in Zimbabwe, in that he behaved like the white folks did before him, oppressing his own people. But I don't recall things being so peachy and lovely for black people under white rule in Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe.
No, in fact, the reason why land was taken from those white farmers is because there were black folks on that land at the beginning, and they took it from them, passed a bunch of laws that made it impossible for people to own. And so if he wants to, this guy probably clearly doesn't read anything and doesn't know anything. And I mean, I wouldn't follow Candace Owens to the corner. Just wouldn't do it. And so this is absurd. It just shows a total lack of historical knowledge, but it's also, he's a provocateur. That's what he is. He's talking smack, and he thinks that people are going to pay attention to him, and most black people will not. Now, Candace Owens, of course, probably has a grin for half a day when she heard that. Oh, gee, somebody thinks I'm a leader. No, she's not. She just, Thomasina. That's all we can say is Thomasina. And it's not because we disagree with her. It's because it's the way that she does Mr. Bojangles for the white folks and the opportunity that she gets. So this guy, I mean, everything you play, Roland, we could just spend like another 10 minutes cracking up, because that literally all of his nonsense is utterly laughable. And the other thing he's forgotten is that black people are 13% of the population here. We were 90% of the population in Zimbabwe. You have the minority taking from the majority through apartheid and through basically cricket laws. Now, the likelihood of us taking from the majority is very, very low. We are the minority, and we know it. And we've been oppressed as a minority.
The thing that I found to be really hilarious there, Avis, he said, oh, these white farmers, they've been there since the 1700s. No.
How long have black people been there?
Rhodesia was created in 1965.
Just give me a second to be petty. Can I have a second?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. That's Ricky Schroeder. He was a child star. He has aged like white milk. My God. If you didn't tell me who that was, I would have had no clue. Jesus Christ, how old is he? Jesus. Okay, that's my petty. I just had to get my petty out of the way before I said something substantial. But I will say that, obviously, as Dr. Malvo pointed out, him and actual facts, don't know each other. And I threw up a little bit in my mouth when he mentioned Booker T. Washington and Candace Owens in the same sentence. It is absolutely disgusting. What can I say? He looked like aged white milk, and he makes no sense. That's my reaction.
The thing that I find is so hilarious about these white supremacists like Ricky Schroeder, Teresa, is I love it how he thinks he can talk to black people and say, y'all haven't been doing your job when it comes to drugs in these communities, And then you need to be following other black leaders like David Harris and Thomas Sowell and Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum. No, we reject those idiots. Because when they align with themselves with white supremacists, yeah, we're good. We'll pass. Please move along.
I thought it was interesting that he started one of the clips out saying that he wants to, get rid of the top drug dealers, but not the ones that are on the corners. So essentially, just the ones, I guess, the what do you call it? The boss, the whoever runs the
cartel leaders. But he also acts as if the drug issue in America is with black people. The problem with drugs in America ain't black people, it's white people.
Bringing it to black neighborhoods. And
no, but it's white people using.
Yeah. The rising use of drugs has been white people. But even more than that, if you want to talk about drug use, let's talk about pharma. Let's talk about American pharmacies and the manufacture of opioids. And then basically pushing them through communities, mostly white communities, praise the Lord. Not that I wish anybody addiction, but if someone's going to be addicted, I hope it's not black people. But in any case, just no structural knowledge of markets. And to lift up Thomas Sowell, Mr. Anti-Affirmative Action, who mercifully has faded away, but to mention Sowell in terms of leadership is really laughable.
But the thing here, again, I think, and what we have to understand, and this really is important, Teresa, is that you have these folks, you have the likes of Brandon Tatum and Candace Owens and others who are being elevated by these white supremacists, by these neo-Nazis, by these folks. And I'm sitting there going, they don't like you fools either.
All you need when you're absolutely right. But anytime, a Candace Owens or Brandon Tatum has at least 5 black friends, that's just enough for the white population white conservative-based population to highlight their stance into their world. When they found someone that is willing to conform with some of their morals and some of their beliefs and is able to rationalize the smallest of interim into black culture, of which they obviously has lost their way because there is some critical issues. But again, when we take education and history out of black public school systems, this is what we get.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it. Please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. So the House is going to be moving forward on a bipartisan bill to create a commission to look into the January 6th insurrection led by the white supremacists backing Donald Trump. Now Kevin McCarthy, the Republican leader, says he's not going to vote for it. He released a statement, y'all, is hilarious, because he wants them to all, he said, it's too narrow. We shouldn't focus on just January 6th. We should include protests in Portland and Black Lives Matter and Antifa, and even go back 4 years to the shooting of Congressman Steve Scalise at a baseball practice. Y'all, This is what he actually said. Given the political misdirections that have marred this process, given the non-duplicative and potentially counterproductive nature of this effort, and given the Speaker's short-sighted scope that does not examine interrelated forms of political violence in America, I cannot support this legislation. Omekongo, here's the problem. This was a deal that was struck between a Republican and a Democrat. It was negotiated. Representative John Katko of New York. So it's not like Republicans had no involvement in this whole deal. No, this is Kevin McCarthy still trying to kiss the ass of Donald Trump.
100%. And let's be mindful of the fact that the Democrats made good faith efforts in putting this commission together, because Nancy Pelosi originally wanted to have it be all Democrats or majority Democrats, whatever it was in the beginning, and she decided on having this even split. And so they made their attempts to do this. This is completely ridiculous. And Kevin McCarthy is spineless and only interested in trying to maintain power at the feet of Donald Trump so he can become House leader again. And so what we're seeing right now, when he talks out of the other side of his mouth, there is no accountability for anything that happened on January 6th, even though he mentioned earlier that the president shared some blame with it. And we are seeing that these Republicans, whether they're talking about these guys are just tourist visits and just taking pictures and all of that, they are going to engage in every aspect of denial of what these insurrectionist terrorists did on January 6th. And they're going to engage in whataboutism on every other group until there is nothing left. They're going to try to take this to the ground, and we can't let them.
It really is interesting how these people, Kelly, have no integrity whatsoever. I mean, they are so hell-bent on kissing Donald Trump's butt that they will deny reality. I mean, that congressman from Georgia who called it a tourist walk in the Capitol, and they got photos of this dumbass helping Secret Service blockade the door. I mean, these people will lie with impunity. That's why anybody who supports, who continues to support Donald Trump and not speak the truth of January 6th should be thrown out of office. All of them, on the federal level, local level, does not matter. Get rid of all of these Republicans.
Well, my thing is, it is insulting to the nth degree, the denial that Republicans are exhibiting, because I know people who were there that day. I know officers who were there that day protecting the Capitol. I know staffers who were there that day with their respective congressmen and senators, and it was hell. It was absolute hell. And all the videos that we have seen shows that. And for these Republicans to be so rooted in denial, as if they didn't see the noose that was there to hang Mike Pence, as if they didn't have video footage of a man with his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk looking to kill her, as if we don't see Trump caps, literally what you're seeing right now, Trump hats, Trump flags, Confederate flags, just flying all willy-nilly out there. How do you not see the insidiousness of it all? How do you not see that? But if you don't want to, McCarthy, if you want to really encompass all of it, let's go back. You know, let's go back to Jim Crow. Let's investigate that. Let's go back to Reconstruction when you denied us 40 acres and a mule. Let's investigate that. Let's investigate the fact that my ancestors were kidnapped, put on a boat, taken thousands of miles away to service you against their will. Let's investigate that. If you really want to encompass it all, let's go there. But if you're not going to go there, shut up.
These people have no decency, no honor, no integrity, no principles, no values, Benjamin, none. They must be defeated badly at the box office, at the ballot box.
They're bad faith actors, and they have no compunction. They have no hesitation about being straight hypocrites, because the only way they can maintain their power, Roland, is by lying. and it's through suppressing the vote. And this is part and parcel of the 70% of Republicans, right? This is not just Kevin McCarthy, even though he is the crown jewel of it right now today. But 70% of Republicans still don't believe that Joe Biden won this election. They believe it was stolen from Donald Trump, and that's why we saw the insurrectionist terrorist attack of January 6th. And so what they want to do is they want their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to overthrow the government with no accountability whatsoever for treason and for insurrection. And so one of the reasons he's afraid, Kevin McCarthy and Republicans are afraid of this bipartisan investigation, is because they know at the end of the day, it's going to lead back to Republicans. It's going to lead back to the GOP. It's going to lead back to Fox News. It's going to lead back to all their friends, because they are all a part of this attempt to overthrow the government simply because they couldn't get their white supremacist way.
It's as simple as that.
All right, folks, back to that Roll Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the Black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in Black-owned businesses, the Black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.